Hey maker friends, so today I am wearing one of my brand new pieces that I have made. It is using the gloriously soft velvet yarn from Bernat. I have made this in child sizes too, and that is going to be the full tutorial that you will see today. It's the same exact way as you would do an adult, the child's version. And so just so this video isn't 13.5 hours long, just kidding, it doesn't take that long to make it. But just so this video isn't super long, I'm making a child's version for you all. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. I had a fun contest over on Instagram. Be sure you're following me there. For people to help me name this little cardigan, and it is not cardigan, it's a sweater. It is now called the Perfect Legging Pullover Sweater. And so it's so fun to make, and you'll be able to see in my thumbnail the exact way that it fits. But if you follow me on Instagram or any of that good stuff, you'll be able to see exactly what it looks like. But this is just kind of a sneak peek. I'll kind of step back so you can see. Super long. So without further ado, I'm going to list the supplies you need right here. Get your stuff, come sit down, get cozy, and let's make this pullover sweater together. So we're going to go ahead and get started. A few things before I actually show you how to do the stitch of this sweater. I want to talk a little bit about sizing. I based this sweater off of the Craft Yarn Council Women and Children Standard Sizing. And so you have your front panel and you have your back panel, both of which are identical. And I will make a side note. I'm going to put right down here the timestamp if you just want to skip all this and head on over straight to the pattern on how you complete the stitch. But this is for anybody that maybe wants to adjust the pattern to fit their size or somebody else and all that good stuff. So you have two identical front and back panels, and then you have two smaller sleeve panels, both of which are identical, and then you have the longer cowl. All of these are completed using the same type of stitch. And so the width of both of the front and back panel are based off of the bust size. So for instance, the size that I made, I'm wearing a medium, I based that off of a 38-inch bust. If you wanted it to be, let's say you wear a medium, you want it to be bigger, you would size up and go ahead and make the large size. But I will say that the velvet yarn is very stretchy, and obviously with more wear, it's going to drape more and more. So I don't know, I would just depend your sizing on, if you're a tight crocheter, definitely size up. If you tend to crochet more loose, perhaps your normal size or maybe even size down a little bit. And so the length of the sweater is based off of the back waist length. And then I add 11 more inches to that. So that gives us the full length of this. And then for your cowl size, this is, you want to typically have about 12 inches of width for your head hole. That's a little on the bigger side. Some people just do 10 inches. I did 12 because we wanted this to be a bit more floppy. So you have 12 inches, which 12 inches on the front panel, 12 inches on the back panel, which gives us a total of 24. So your cowl would then equal the span of 24 inches. And then your sleeves, if you're looking at, let me see, I'm running out of space here. If you're looking at, you know, a body model, okay, the section that you're going to measure for your sleeves is right here. The arm length, I believe is what it's called. You don't want to do the armhole depth. That's something different. This is a bit wider. And so I take this measurement and I add 2 inches to give us a little bit more of a loose fit. And then it's the length of the arm from, I believe it's shoulder to wrist. And for the child size, you'll notice that I did the sleeves just a little bit shorter to make it easier, because obviously kids play more and all of that good stuff. And so you can decide whatever you want, how long that sleeve. So if you want it to be one that kind of maybe comes down to here, some people like their sleeves a little bit longer where it hangs over their fingers, or maybe totally so that you could bunch it up, whatever. You can adjust that sleeve length. And the way that you would do that is you would adjust how many you chain. There is no multiple in this pattern. You don't have to have even or odd. It doesn't matter. You just chain however much you want for length on your body and back piece. And then you chain however much you want for your sleeves. And then the rows that you do would be the width, because let me pull this hat in real quick for reference. It's the same exact technique of this single crochet in the back loop only. So your chain that you do is going to be your length, and then the amount of rows that you do would be your width. So obviously you're working your work like this, but what you're really looking at is the width here and the length, because whenever you get ready to seam it, it's going to turn this way, and that's what gives us that kind of elasticity. So again, I really like this technique for a ribbing. I also like how it gives it kind of a fisherman's look, which is something that you'll find in knit pieces. And so this is really easy to customize and adjust. Now I do have a full PDF for all of the women's sizes and children's sizes that you can get if you don't want to try to figure out the math, if that's just not your thing. So don't worry, I will have that available. But I just wanted to kind of break it down a little bit and explain it so that you would understand kind of my mind and how I structured the math behind the garment, and then make adjustments as you see fit. Everybody's body is different, so I just wanted to give you that freedom in order to be able to do that. So now that I've done that, I've got my velvet yarn here. I've got my 6mm hook, and we are going to dive right in. Okay, so I've already made up the other pieces of the sweater, but like I said, every single piece, and there's a total of 5 pieces, they're all made the same exact way. It's the single crochet and the back loop technique. But I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how to do that. This is going to be the cowl. And so the full pattern will be linked down in the description bar. You can head over to Ravelry and pick that up if you would like. But I'm going to go ahead and show you this part. So we've made a slip knot, and we're just going to begin by chaining 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now the cowl, obviously, once we attach it to the top of the garment, it's going to kind of fold over and be a little floppy. So that's why it might look a little long. So for row 1 of the cowl, we're going to start in the second chain from the hook. So we've got 1, 2. This does not count as a chain. This is just our, starting loop, if you will. But you can see the little V's right there. And so this is chain 1, chain 2. In the second chain from the hook, you're going to place a single crochet, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Again, go into the next one, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And you're going to do this all the way across. And once I'm done, I will pop back on and show you how to end the row, and then how to begin and do all of the rows hereafter. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row. I put my single crochet in that last stitch. To begin the next row, we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn. That chain 1 does count as a single crochet, so what we're going to do next, instead of going underneath both to do the next single crochet, we're only going to go into the back loop right there. And we're going to work a single crochet. So again, you have 2 loops right here. Let me see if I can show it like this. You have the front loop, which would be the loop facing you, and then you have the back loop right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right there into the back loop and work our single crochets. And we're going to do this all the way across, and for the remaining rows of whichever piece that you're on. So you have a certain amount of rows for your front and back panel, you have a certain amount of rows for your sleeve panels, and then you have a certain amount of rows for your cowl. So whatever panel that you're on, you would complete that many stitches in that many rows using this single crochet in the back loop technique. And when you get to the end, you chain one, you turn, and you single crochet in the back loop all the way across, and you just keep doing that. So what I'm going to do now in the next part of the video is I'm going to move to the floor, and I'm going to have all the pieces laid out to explain to you exactly how to complete the seaming process. So once you've got all your panels made, and again you'll have 5 different panels all looking like this, once you have all of your panels made, come back to the video and I'll explain to you exactly how to seam all of the pieces together. And then you'll be done and you'll be able to wear your sweater. So I finished my cowl section, or panel rather, for the child's one, and I just wanted to show y'all how to attach the ends. This is obviously done before we begin all of the seaming. So basically what you're going to do is take both of the ends of the cowl like this, and you just want to kind of line them up, making sure that everything's even. And then beginning in this kind of first stitch, you're just going to insert your hook under and then come straight across, and you're going to work a single crochet. And then in each remaining stitch, you just want to kind of line up the loops with each other. You're just going to seam the cowl into a tube with single crochets. Really simple. The main thing, you don't want this to become misaligned, so I would say stop every now and then, double check and make sure things are lined up correctly. And then obviously what you're going to get is the tube for the cowl, or the head hole that will kind of fold over. So once you get your cowl seamed together and you've got all of your other panels made for a total of 5 panels, remember that's 2 identical body panels and then 2 identical sleeves, followed by 1 cowl panel. Once you've done that, pop back into the video and I'm going to show you exactly how to seam everything together to make sure that everything is laying correctly and to make sure that you don't have any wonky gathering or anything within your yarn. So get ready and finish everything up to get to that point, and then meet me back here. Okay, so what we have here are 2 of the sleeve panels. This is the cowl that we just seamed together, and then we have these 2 body panels. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to seam together the shoulder section. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay your panels out. Actually, I'm going to do this side first. You're going to lay your panels out. You can do this on a table or the floor or whichever you like. We're going to kind of lay them out just like this, okay? And obviously we need to leave a section open for the head hole. And we want to have, remember I said for a child's you're going to have 8 inches width right here. And then for an adult you're going to have 10 to 12 depending on the head size and how large you want that area. So we want to measure this out and make sure that we have the correct size. So let me get my tape measure real quick and we're going to measure this out. All right, so we've got our tape measure. And if we fold this, we can see the middle section is kind of right here, okay? So right there, that section. So we know that the 4 mark needs to be about right there. So we've got 8 to right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. See these little ridges? I count those 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side. So essentially, oh, my yarn's up here, 1 second. What we're gonna do is we're just going to single crochet these together. So just working from your ball of yarn, you're going to insert your hook into the end of both of these, and you're just going to single crochet, making sure that everything is staying lined up. And you don't have to do single crochet, this is just my preference. You can use a tapestry needle, but this is what I prefer. I just like the look a lot better. So you're going to single crochet, like I said, these two seams. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need to go to right there. And you just keep doing this. Probably about 3 more stitches is what I'll do. And just like that. Okay, so that shoulder is seamed. Snip that. And we're going to tighten that up. So that shoulder is seamed, and then we're going to come over here and kind of line everything up again. So we'll put our 8 right there at that mark, and then 1 is going to be right here. So now we're just going to do the same thing straight across. It's really simple. You just want to make sure everything is lining up, and I do recommend laying it out on the floor or a table, just somewhere where you're not compromising how the yarn is laying, because you can get a weird gather if stuff isn't laying properly, and you don't want that. You want everything to lay correctly. So on a large table, like a quilting table or kitchen table, if you have a big kitchen table, just somewhere where you have enough space. And you just want to go all the way across, making sure that everything, this one doesn't want to go in, is even. And I will say, you want to kind of leave yourself a decent sized tail so that you can have enough to seam everything. I'm sorry, not seam, weave in your ends. So if you look, now we have a head hole. And so what I'm going to show you next how to do is attach the sleeves. Okay, so now we're going to attach the sleeves, and sleeves can be a little tricky. The main things is that you want to make sure that the sleeve is stretched out to whatever the pattern calls for. So remember, it's this top part of your arm that you're measuring. And so you also want to make sure that the middle of the sleeve panel is lined up perfectly right there. Okay. And as you'll see, because this is kind of a ribbing, it wants to kind of gather in. So you really want to make sure that everything is laying correctly. And so this was basically right on 13, which is what we wanted. We added 2, 3, we added 4 inches to the sleeves. So it's lined up perfectly. And again, it's the same exact process. You're just going to, and here's another little thing you can do. See how I've got these kind of leftovers, and I know that this is the center and I don't want to lose that. You can take these like that and just kind of attach them here to the center. I do that just to make sure it's not sliding around or anything. And then I know, whoops, that that's my center and that's where I want to stay. And so put your hook or your tapestry needle, whatever you're doing, get your yarn, and do the same exact thing you did here. We're just gonna single crochet ourselves right there. So imagine if you were to take a t-shirt and if you were to undo all the seams and lay it out flat. This is exactly what it would look like. So again, it's very, very simple. You're just simply going to go right, hold on. Let me turn the camera just for a second so you can see a little bit better. So if you're looking right here, all I'm doing is I'm putting my hook right in the edge, and then we're just coming straight into this edging right here. So this is basically the sweater inside out. We're looking at it inside out. So then we're gonna make a slip knot, and we're just simply gonna single crochet like this, trying to make sure that we're not stretching things out too much, just all the way across. And go slow, don't try to rush it. I know this is the exciting part because you're getting so close to the end of being finished, but you don't want to fudge stuff up. You want it to lay correctly. So maintain that same patience and tenacity that you did while you spent all those hours making the sweater, whether it was for yourself or a grandchild or a child or whatever. Just be patient, because again, you don't want to mess it up, and just keep seaming this all the way across. I do want to mention right here, the good thing about securing this to the center is that it helps us make sure that we're not having like a bunching. So like, let's say I was coming this way. If I wasn't keeping things even, we would kind of have like a bunching here, and I'd be at the end here, but then I'd have this little batch right here that wasn't done. So that is one thing that's good about securing your centerpiece as you're working across. Because if you get here and everything is laying flat, you know that you have kept everything even, and that's exactly what we want. We want everything to be even. So just, and don't let this get too stretched out because it's going to stretch your stitches out. But be mindful of that. Just so, you know, like I said, you want everything to look as professional as possible. I always say you've done a good job if somebody says, "Where did you buy that?" Because that means they can't tell it's handmade because you've done that good of a job. So seaming is just as important as your foundation chain, making sure that, you know, you're doing all of the steps right and everything like that. So I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I just want to encourage you to just be patient in the seaming process, because your patience will pay off and give you a great looking garment. So I'm going to finish seaming this sleeve, and then I'm going to seam the other sleeve on, and then I'm going to show you what to do next to get the sides all seamed up. Then I'll show you exactly how to do the cowl, and that can be a little tricky, but that's okay. We're going to do it together, and then we will weave in our ends, and then I'll show my daughter modeling it for you. So get your sleeves seamed on, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so now that we've got both of the sleeves seamed on, we're basically going to take the garment, we're going to pick it up like this, and we're just going to line everything up. So we want to make sure that the armpits right here are lined up, that the ends are lined up, and that, let me turn just ever so slightly. Just make sure everything is really good and lined up perfectly. Okay, so a couple of tips. When it comes to seaming, just like in sewing, This is the area where you can kind of fudge up mistakes, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start at the bottom. We're gonna single crochet our way up right to the armpit. And then we're gonna start right here and we're gonna single crochet into the armpit. So the armpit is gonna be the spot where we meet. And so that's gonna be where if we have any mistakes or we kind of get off in our stitches or we have like a little bit left over on one panel or the other, that we can kind of cover that up right there in the armpit, okay? So just like the other things, all we're gonna do is we're gonna take our yarn and we're gonna start right here and we're gonna go all the way up to the armpit, okay? And so right here, we've got these little leftover yarns. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go into the armpit right here, and I'm gonna take both of these and kind of pull them through like that, okay? So that's just gonna kind of secure everything. This is one reason why I recommend don't weave stuff in, because you can use some of these leftovers here. So we're gonna lay this out and we're gonna try our best to make sure that we keep everything, let me make sure I've got it in the camera. Okay, that we keep everything evened up. And let me zoom you in again just so you can see. Starting right here at the end, we're just gonna put our hook, make sure you're in the last one too, because there'll be a little bit of a gap if you're not careful. We're gonna put our hook right there in the end. We're gonna get our yarn ready, and all we're gonna do is we're just going to match up. Do you see? Let me pull it closer. Do you see those stitches? We're just gonna single crochet in all of those all the way across, making sure that we just stay even. And again, I can't emphasize enough, go slowly so that you can make sure everything is lining up, and you will be so glad you did, because it will look so much better. So much better. So just keep going all the way until you get to the armpit section. All right, so I made it to the armpit. So we've got this whole side totally seamed closed, and now we're just gonna start right here at the sleeve and do the exact same thing, going straight to the armpit to make sure that everything is all lining up and matching perfectly. So do your sleeve all the way to the armpit and then meet me back here. All right, so the sleeve is totally seamed, and I just wanted to say a couple things. So as I was coming to the sleeve and I came to the armpit, I actually went ahead and attached 3 stitches into the sides seam right there. So basically, once I covered all the holes, and obviously double check and make sure that you've covered all the holes in the armpit, because the last thing you want is like a gaping hole that big because you missed a couple stitches. So just one way to kind of avoid that is go ahead, once you get to the armpit, keep single crocheting, and then go ahead and slip stitch like 2 or 3 stitches onto this side seam right here, just to help secure it a little bit more and make sure that you don't have any holes. So now that you know how to do the side seam in the sleeve and covering up this, making sure that you don't have any holes, go ahead and do it to the other side, then pop back into the video and I'm going to show you how to attach the cowl. All right, so we have seamed everything together, and now it's time to attach this cowl. So one piece of information that you need to know is when you can see kind of like this bulbous part that we seamed together, we want to flip that so it's right side out, okay? Here's our head hole. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to place this with right side out, okay? We're going to want to place this right inside here, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of line everything up, okay? So here's our cowl. We're just going to kind of line everything up perfectly, just like that, making sure nothing's too stretched out or anything like that. we're going to take our crochet hook, and you see how we've got this long string? We're going to kind of do what we did in the armpit. We're just going to put our hook right here into this section. We're going to use this string to kind of secure that corner. And then we're going to do the same exact thing over here. Again, we want to make sure that nothing is too stretched out. And we're just going to stick it right in there. And that's just going to act like a placeholder. Now, if you have stitch markers, you can totally do it that way. I just find, you know, you don't have to go find anything. If you're carrying this project around with you, you can just use these long pieces of yarn and still get the job done. So now all that we're going to do is what we've been doing this whole time with this seaming, okay? We're just simply going to start here, and we're going to single crochet our way all the way around, being sure not to stretch anything too much and to just kind of keep an even tension and all of that good stuff. So really, really simple. The key is make sure that you stick this inside with the sweater inside out, but the cowl right side out. Slide it right into that head hole, and then you're going to seam all the way around. And if you need to see it again, go ahead and back up the video and just watch it a couple times until it kind of clicks in your head. Because I know for me, sometimes if I see a video tutorial, I'm kind of like, what are they wanting me to do? And it takes me a minute. So feel free, just back the video up, look at exactly what I did, follow me step by step, watch, pause, do whatever you need to do to ensure that you understand exactly what I said. And once you have single crocheted your way all the way around so that everything lines up and all the tension is good and all of that, I want you to weave in all of your ends and then flip it right side out and come back to this video so I can wrap up this tutorial and let you know what videos you can expect to be coming next. Really quick, I wanted to show you how I weave in my ends just in case you were maybe having a little bit of trouble. So this is one reason why it's important to leave a long enough tail so that you can have a little bit of wiggle room. So basically all I do is I go right into the knot and I kind of shimmy down the stitches. I go back up in the same direction, just kind of wiggle a little bit, coming back up, trying to make sure that I'm not pulling anything too tight so as to mess up the look of the stitches. One more pass through, just like that, and then one just kind of at an angle, and then maybe one more just for good measure. Typically only do 4, but this velvet yarn is a little more slippery. And then I take my scissors and I just kind of pull tight and snip it right there. And so you can't really see where I wove it in. I just kind of hit it right there in those stitches. And that's what I do for weaving in all of my ends. And if I have something fall out, it's because it's usually not because of a woven in end, it's because of something else. So this is my way and method, like I said, of doing it, and I found it to be very successful. So if you're curious as to how to weave in your ends, this is how I do it. Whew, that was fun. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you enjoy making a pullover sweater for yourself or for a friend or for whoever you want. It was a lot of fun designing this. It took me a really long time to figure out what exactly I wanted to make with this velvet yarn. It was so gorgeous and beautiful, and I didn't want to mess it up. So after about a month and a half of frogging and brainstorming and all of that good stuff, I landed on this pattern, and I'm so happy with it, and I'm so happy to to share it with you. So be sure that you like this video, share it with other maker friends who are looking for good ideas to make something with the velvet yarn. And then also be sure you subscribe so that you can catch all of my new videos that I upload. I am so thankful for your watching, and comment down below if you've got any other ideas or suggestions of yarns you'd like me to work with, and I'll see you in the next video.